Everyone knows the sound. Everyone knows what it is. It's that time again. It's the Big Vibe with Tev and Ty, episode
Yes, sir.
4.
We're moving.
Man, this
We're moving.
it honestly feels like second nature. Every week we just get on here. We have a platform. We engage with you guys. You guys chat back to us.
Yeah,
It's a really great space. It's a really good vibe. It is the Big Vibe.
The Big Vibe.
Again, thank you guys so much for interacting, giving your comments from last week's episode. It was actually very interesting to hear some of your takes.
Yep.
Again, Aaron, big shout out to you once again. Our number one fan, man. He's always on it.
I think he liked, subscribe, notification bell on.
Oh, I love it. Guys, you can learn a lot from the guy.
Yeah.
For those who haven't joined us before, this is the platform that we use to give you an insight into the world. It really is a place to have a conversation. You get to know Tyler and myself, and it's such a great journey to be part of. So again, welcome. If this is your first time, you're going to really enjoy what we have in store for you guys today.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to say to those that are returning to episode 4, now you're a fan. Let's be honest. Yeah. Episode 1, people listen out of obligation because they were our friends or our significant others or our family. Sure.
Agreed.
Episode 2, they were like, okay, like these guys are still going. Let's see what's up. Episode 3, now you're showing us that you're a fan. If you're still listening, you're a fan now.
You're deep in. Yeah.
You're deep
in. We're basically
We're friends. Yeah. So you may as well, you may as well comment. You may as well say what's up. You may as well message us directly. But yeah, like Tev said, please, it helps us. I never thought I'd be saying these words, but with like SEO and all that stuff, like it helps. In the first place, when I first Googled the Big Vibe, we didn't come up. It was quite difficult to find us. And now the more engagement we get, we're starting to pop up, which is really quite sick. So yeah, all the likes, the subscribes, the comments, the ratings on like Spotify and Apple. I actually haven't had a chance yet to look if we have any of those. But if you haven't done it, please do. I don't want to be the first one.
Yeah, that's a bit
5-star for yourself. Do you do that?
It's like clapping for yourself after you just made an
But SEO is SEO, or liking your own post, right?
True.
Yeah?
True story.
Do you like the Big Vibes post through your personal account?
I definitely do, man. It's great. It's quality. It's quality content.
Fair.
So
the marketing guys working hard. Yeah, you gotta like what you like.
Objectively, it's really great show.
Fair play.
That's me speaking as just a viewer.
Just a viewer.
No. So guys, get involved, man. Get involved.
Yeah, please do. And if you haven't yet, go check out the websites that I slowly putting together as we go along. I'm thinking about maybe making the investment so that it doesn't have the big powered by Wix, and we can change the search. We can make the domain our own. But let's see. This it costs money when you start spending money. If you know what I'm saying.
True.
Like now it's costing us time, but when it starts costing money, it might be a little bit of... And we tried to holler at Nando's last week to come through.
We're still awaiting feedback.
We're still waiting. So guys, when you're ready, we're here. We're ready to eat chicken wings and give you some reviews.
That's the thing. We just try to be the vessel. We are honestly just a vessel here to help other people understand what life is like. And we're just trying to accelerate your brand. I mean,
that's all.
You're big in SA. Hands down. Well done.
Yeah.
But, it's always great to get some traction.
We got you. But yeah, okay. So let's. We got a big show as usual with the Big Vibe, and we are going to be starting off with the around the world section. So the topic of conversation that we have found or decided that we wanted to talk about is surrounding Jeffrey Dahmer. Okay, so Tev, you heard of the guy, right?
I have. He's been creating a lot of waves on social media, specifically Twitter, from what I've seen. I know he's previously had a movie made out.
I think Amazon Prime. I don't remember what platform, but
yeah. Yeah, there was a movie, and then obviously recently now there's been the Netflix series that stars the guy from
X-Men.
X-Men.
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't he also in Marvel? Is he in Marvel? No. Is he? Maybe.
He's Quicksilver.
He's Quicksilver in X-Men. Yeah. Okay. So it's got him. Sick actor. What a cool actor.
Yes. Evan Peters.
Yeah, yeah. And I've watched the first 2 episodes, and it's chilling. It's really chilling stuff. So we not a review podcast. That's not what we do here. If this is your first episode and you're looking for that, I'm sorry, that's not what we do. Instead, what we do is we try and pick apart these topics and find more content to talk about in terms of like bigger picture kind of thing. So the direction I feel we should go in with this is so this Jeffrey Dahmer one on Netflix is pretty big. I think it's broken quite a few records in terms of views and money and etc. And we start seeing like these patterns building. I would say it began with maybe Ted Bundy was probably the first. I mean, obviously you have the Crime Channel, which has a lot of real life crime, but those are a lot more documentary series. But then we got Ted Bundy, I think was quite a groundbreaking in terms of like taking a real life crime and turning it into like a Netflix show or a series, right? Yeah. And then I would say I watched one called The Serpent, which was about Thailand, which was it was a little bit more similar to this. It's not, I don't know if you watch a Ted Bundy one, but this one's like not documentary at all, The Serpent. It's more told like a story, and this Jeffrey Dahmer one is the same. It's told very much as a story.
Factual.
Yeah. And really, again, well cast. I like that actor. But I guess the question that you and I want to unpack a little bit here is kind of the romanticizing of, like these kind of situations. So I think that will be a good place to start. So let me start off by asking you, do you think with these kinds of shows, this Jeffrey Dahmer, what is the actual title of the show again? Monster.
Monster, yeah.
The Dahmer Story, yeah. So do you think, let's start with this one, do you think that society is kind of romanticizing these kinds of stories, or what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I do think society does love to romanticize killers. It's, I think, twofold. One, to get an audience with, like you mentioned previously, the Ted Bundy one. I think they called Zac Efron in that one. And you've taken someone that is this, to a large extent, the sex symbol of 90s kids. We've gone from
High School Musical
into, I think it was in Baywatch. He was in something else where he's the epitome.
The grandfather, where he's with his grandfather, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And you've taken this guy who really personifies good looks. He personifies, to a certain extent, innocence. And having him cast as Ted Bundy gets you the followers that you want for your show.
Immediately, it brings an X amount of followers that like
and that
Zac
brings
Efron.
a lot of investment as well, because he's a brand. He's a brand that is moved over. So monetary-wise, you're killing it. Pun intended. So it's wrong, because I feel once you depict killers in a different light, you're now taking away from their actions, and I'm seeing him more as the star. I think people find it really tricky to disassociate character from person.
But at the end of the day, they're not like lying about like so for
actions.
This Monster as an example, right? Okay. I like the actor. I've already said it probably 3 times. That sick actor. The way it's done, actually, Katya can't watch it. It creeps her out too much. But I intend on finishing it. But they don't mirror anything. They don't hide anything, right? He creeps me out. So, like, I get what you're saying about, like, using, like, the certain kind of actor to do it, that brings those certain following. But they're not changing the actions at all. In fact, are they not enlightening us more? Because I'm not going to read a long paper or whatever. I'm not going to read, and I'm less likely to watch a documentary than I am to watch something like this. Do you get what I'm saying?
Your point there. Yeah, I do get.
But at the end of the day, they are trying to make money.
Yeah,
like let's be serious.
That then also brings me to a question: how much of the factual truth do you get leeway in order to build a more, well, a better or a more intriguing narrative? So
a more recordable story, right?
Yes. So I've heard a few accounts from, I believe it was one of the victim's sisters. She features in it, that big scene where she loses control, apparently. And she has the platform to address him in the courtroom.
Okay. I haven't seen that, but yeah.
They've essentially mimed or replicated all of her actions and words from what happened in the courtroom.
In court, yeah, okay.
Yeah, to the story now. And her take is that a lot of the series, so she watched the entire thing, and it's taken out of context, or it's been given a bit too much creative control in the telling of the story. So narratively, it watches well.
Yeah, they're selling
it's way off.
What kind of, do you have any idea, maybe you do, being a little bit more in the media, kind of whatever, you're that guy for us as well, but do you have do you have any idea like what kind of permission they have to get from victims / families / do creators just have a right to do whatever they want, or how does that work, do you know?
Ordinarily, I don't think you do. So from the work that I did previously, you need to approach the families firstly. So the people that are directly involved. Image rights are a number one thing here. You can't use anyone's image rights without their consent. And I think we've seen that as well with the involvement now of the Popia Act, where you need consent. And according to quite a few accounts, none of these victims, their families, anyone that's directly connected to Dahmer, these victims, and the series were contacted. No one's received compensation for their use.
You'd believe that Netflix would have foreseen this. They must have some legal loophole that they're going to...
As people that aren't in the industry, aren't in the legal space, can clearly see that, one, you'd need a legal case or at least agreement to use people's image rights. And surely there would be some kind of compensation to the families having, brought up and resurfaced all these emotions. I mean, to what extent do we go in order to make
a story or a series?
Because it's essentially these families having to relive this time and time again. And what do they get out of it? I'd understand if there was a monetary contribution given to the family where for every million views or every 100,000 views, they get X amount of the profits. At least come to some kind of agreement.
Which, as far as we know, they don't have anything like that, do they?
Truth. So what's your take on... I'll start off with the narrative versus the factual.
Okay, so I don't know. Like it's a bit, it's a bit tricky to navigate this kind of conversation. But like, because you also don't want to speak out of context because you don't know what it feels like, right? To be, well, I mean, people do know what it feels like. I don't know what it feels like to be related to somebody that this happened to, right? On the one hand, like, you understand that they want to change it to make it a more watchable, or they want you do kind of understand, like, editing it to make it digestible content, right?
Yes.
Because like I said earlier, I don't like necessarily watching, I know a lot of people do, but like that crime channel on DSTV, man, I don't mess with that channel. I can't deal with it. I find it's too much for me. Like, a bit boring, I don't like the way it's done. So they're obviously trying something new. So I kind of get it from that sense. On the other hand, this really happened to people. Like, this is real life. This is not like a fictional story. If it's a fictional story, you do what you want. Like Game of Thrones, for example, to finish season 8 without George R.R. Martin finishing the writing.
Wow.
Whatever, you go, whatever. You guys have your agreements, you've signed your contracts, whatever, you do your thing. Like, that doesn't matter. But when it starts coming to people's like real life, it's a bit like, nah, like now we have to, I think, try and keep it as accurate again now, but then how gory do you go? Yeah, it's tricky. At the end of the day, I think it's a good show, but it's again, it's chilling. Maybe it goes a little bit, not too far, but I've heard a lot of mixed things. And if it's true what they're saying about the family not having been consulted and not being paid any royalties or reparations, whichever one you want to call it, that's wrong. They should be compensated, because at the end of the day, somebody is profiting from another person's misfortune.
That's true. And then as a viewer, would you say, what do you find intriguing about it? Is it trying to understand? I think a lot of the time with true crime dramas and these murder investigation shows, etc., people try and, to an extent, empathize and try put themselves in the shoes of a killer. Why is it that people think this way? What drives people to these actions? You know,
what happened?
Yes,
like when this person was
trying to
growing
understand
up.
How did we get to this point? Is that what's been the intrigue for you?
So for me as a viewer, I'll start off by saying I don't do horror movies in general. I don't mess with that stuff. I struggle, growing up together, like how easy it was for people, like our friends and stuff, to mess with me. Like, I'm not good with that kind of thing, right? But I think when it comes to this kind of thing, some people feel differently. Like, some people can't do like spirits and stuff, because like I struggle with spirits. I'm okay to watch things that have happened, even if it's chilling. I'm okay with, if it really happened, I'm easier to watch it. Some people, the fact that it really happened makes it more difficult to watch, right? For me, the intrigue lies in, it's exactly that. Just getting to get a little bit of the perspective. And what was interesting, I've only watched the first 2 episodes, but what was really interesting about this one is, like, in the second episode, they do a lot of like what happened when he was younger, kind of growing up a little bit, but also like when he's like university, just that kind of age group. And you start seeing like he does like these dissections on animals and stuff, and you see his intrigue starts growing in that area, but it's like caveated with what happens at home. So I find that kind of psychological side quite interesting, and also it's just really well done, man. Like, it's a cool actor. Again, I'm saying it. It's a cool actor. The way it's shot is really good. It's gripping. It's everything that you want a TV show to be. It is all those things, and I think that's what's got me. That's what's got me into it. To be honest with you,
I'd agree with you on that point. It's just trying to understand this person. Why? What drove you to do this? And for me, it's hoping to get to the conclusion that isn't the typical response of mentally challenged man, and that's the very
blanket term.
Yes, that
just thrown on
into a lot of serial killers, psychopaths, where there needs to be a lot more justification of their crimes. They need
explain
to be
yourself
accountable.
like
this.
Yeah,
so it comes down to an accountability thing, which
and show us the guy's history.
The series I can see at the end of the series, hopefully. Or
for sure.
At least an indication of that, because it's like you said, this is real world. This actually happened. These are heinous crimes. I mean, I read there was necrophilia. There was a lot of really disturbing things that happened.
It's deep. I really do. If this is your thing, I do recommend that. Not that you don't have to watch it if it's not your thing. That's cool. I guess like what you and I are just trying to figure out here is, like, at what point does it become about a show versus retelling a story versus making money? It's a capitalist world after all. At what point, where should we draw the lines? A lot of people will just turn around and be like, but if it bothers you, then don't watch it. Fair enough, right? And then, social justice warriors will turn around, but Netflix has a responsibility, and et cetera, et cetera. Wherever you fall on the radar, that's cool. I think it was just a nice little conversation, which, drop a comment below somewhere. Tell us what you think. Yeah.
Please,
give
us insight. Do you think it's right to continue making things like this? Because from one standpoint, it is educational. We get an insight into, and maybe this helps prosecutors as well, because, you know, further down the line, if they get instances like this where you get similar crimes, now you have a leg to stand on in terms of prosecution, because it's gone through the system. We've done this before. We have a reference point, and we have something to argue for or against. So
yeah, well, I mean,
educational.
To add to that as well, though, like we've heard of these stories. There's that guy who was just released from prison like last week or 2 weeks ago through a podcast. He was in jail for like 23 years or something. And they found he wasn't innocent. And a lot of people get the story wrong. They haven't found that he's innocent, but they found that the prosecutors had let go of evidence that should have been included. So now 23 years later, they've let him out. And there he has to go for a retrial. So maybe it's like a similar kind of like, we're talking about these stories, which is opening up, in some cases, a can of worms in terms of emotions and that kind of stuff. But in other cases, perhaps it's opening up new insights or new interest, or, you know, whatever you call it. You know, like...
Yeah, so, yeah, it really does fall on both sides of the scale.
Yeah.
So very
interested to hear what people think.
Yes, please let us know what your thoughts. If you have watched it, if you are looking to watch it, what is it that got you interested in it?
For sure.
And if you've finished it, did it live up to what you initially thought it was going to be all about?
100%.
Yeah, I think it's a great place to wrap that one up. And then for the next topic, we're going to move into all things sport in a section we like to call Let's Get Athletic. Okay, so beautiful chef's kiss of a weekend when it comes to sport.
If you're watching, look at these smiles. If you're looking, look at these smiles. If you're watching, stories.
The gun show. Oh, it was an all-out assault in North London this weekend when Arsenal.
Red as it could be.
Oof,
you watched the game?
I did. I did watch the game. Yeah, very, very impressive performance from the Gunners. Credit to Arteta. Set up perfectly for that derby. Arsenal players just wanted it more. It was clear from the get-go. Guys came in there and were very aggressive from the start off. Which wasn't something that you'd see
a few seasons
ago. Yeah. You need this mentality. And it's great to see Arsenal really putting their foot forward, going on the front foot.
And I know you were a semi-fan at a stage, and you can't deny you were there for a season.
From the outside with binoculars, I was looking
that Man United into Arsenal phase that you went through when maybe we were grade 10. I don't know, but I remember that. I remember that time.
I was viewing.
I remember that.
Yeah, brother's a Gunner, my wife's a Gunner. I'll allow it.
Your pod partner's a Gunner. Your pod partner's a Gunner.
Yeah,
you're wearing an Arsenal beanie.
So this is my wife's. Just for anyone else who's questioning my
wife's. Can I purr a little?
Yes, please. The platform is yours. It is your team after all.
So obviously going into the match, nervous. Always these North London derbies, and you know how Spurs is going to play. Yeah. And because there was a 2-week break with the internationals, it also built that anticipation up, right? And as an Arsenal fan, Twitter doesn't like Arsenal. Let's be honest, they just don't. Like, for some reason, everyone's against Arsenal. Like, you know, there's a whole bunch of accounts that are really out there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you've had the easiest start to the season. That's why you are where you are." I'm like, "But we won those games." But then what was killing me was that they were like, yeah, but look, as soon as you face Man United, you lost. And if you watch that game, I'll say it now, we deserve more out of that game. United, fair play to them, they did what they had to do, but I really felt like we deserved more out of that game. But it happens, fair play, it's football, right? So I felt like we had so much to prove going into this game. And as a young team, we still are the youngest team in the Premier League, which people forget because we're playing so hot. Like, our future is bright. I know we don't have...
chemistry in that team is
we don't have a Haaland on our team, but our future is bright, and I don't care what people tell me. We have Big Bill Saliba, generational. Tell me one centre back you would take ahead of him right now, honestly, within your team. Tell me one that you can tell me.
He's doing well this season.
And he's 21. He's 21, fam. He's so calm. You saw him. There were times when we were defending in our penalty box where the guy, my heart was, I didn't know how to deal, but he was calm. 4 or 5 Spurs guys around him, and instead of even rolling the pass out, he clips it out to Martinelli. And I was so happy. Beating Spurs is just like, there's so many layers to it, and like we proved, okay, we can play the big teams. Conte was an absolute coward when Emerson Royale got a red card. He was a coward for going so defensive, and it was all like, now the narrative will be like, oh yeah, like, well, we shouldn't have got the red card, and it was a red card. Well, we shouldn't have got the The game was 100%. You studs up. That's 100% really good refereeing throughout that game, which I was happy with. But I'm buzzing. I'm happy. I'm so stoked with the way the game went. Liverpool up next. If we can do something against Liverpool, I'm not saying 100% that we are title contenders, but we are, without a doubt,
there's a chance.
We are at the moment playing either like first or second level football, and I look forward to seeing. I'm nervous, obviously, but I look forward to seeing how we fare against Man City, because now we measured ourselves against Tottenham. We showed them that they whack and that they must go back. They must go back. They must leave it. They're not in the same conversation as us right now. I'm ready to see what we got against Liverpool, who are struggling. We'll talk a little bit about that Brighton game.
Actually.
But I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like when we actually play against City, to see like my man Big Bill against the machine of a striker, which is Haaland, because he's also something else. You know, that's like such a cool thing to watch.
That's going to be a really good battle. I think we got some insight to, obviously not with the kind of star characters that we have now this season, but last season, probably one of the highlights of the season, that Arsenal City game at the Emirates.
Yes.
Really good football.
Yeah.
I'd say that was probably City's harder tests in the league. Arteta,
one of our better games of the season.
And that was nail biting. I didn't think it would win it at the end. So very interesting matchup.
Looking forward to it. But shall we talk a little bit?
For the goodness, against Liverpool. So everyone who hadn't seen it, they drew 3-3 with Brighton. Got off
2-0
a really
down.
shaky start. 2-0, almost the exact same goal scored by Trossard. One after the other. There's a lot of questions flying around Liverpool's defense. Trent has always been a big question mark. Trent is...
Martinelli's going to have fun next week.
Exposed a lot more, and I saw an interview with Klopp where he explained why it is that Trent is generally caught out, or it's a lot more obvious that he's out of position than anyone else. It's because when they do their high press, he's generally the furthest forward of the defense.
Okay.
So when the ball is turned around, he would be out of position, and they'd need a Joel Matip or Gomez, whoever's playing as right centre back, to try and cover those areas.
But if you know that, you surely have to compensate. Like like Arsenal, sometimes Zinchenko or Tierney will be caught out of position, or if they go forward, you see Xhaka, who by the way is having a cracker of a season. I don't know where he is. It's the most beautiful arc, like to see that guy's whole story. I
expected a red card for Xhaka. It's almost goes in the same sentence.
And he's beautiful this season.
But the man is really...
But you see with us, not them, like when they bombard forward, they compensate for that. So like Xhaka might fall in, especially last season, he would fall into that left back position. So now you know what the problem is, Klopp. And I know you're listening to us right now. So if you know what the problem is, what are you doing to like kind of compensate for it, right? Like what are you doing? And also I disagree with that, because Trent also just gets caught out. Like he's lazy sometimes. It's fine. He's probably one of the best distributors of the ball. But if you watch the highlights, he was caught out. I think the first 2 goals, he was caught out, like rolled in behind him. Even there's been compilations of like times where he's walking and this and that. And it's okay if that's the kind of player he is, but don't come with and Klopp is the king of excuses. Sorry, Mr. Klopp, but he comes with a lot of excuses. So I think it will be a big game, a nice, very interesting game. You know, they've had games before where they drew or lost, and then they go and they whack Bournemouth.
The Jota show.
None of that. None of that next week, please. Like, I'm not ready.
Let's see what happens next week. But yeah, I think their problem lies in midfield. Legs, man. You need fresh legs that are able to move forward and cover back, which we obviously haven't seen, because Henderson, Milner, generally
Yeah.
get the majority of game time. But enough on the subpar Reds, and we'll move on to the red letter day that it was for United fans seeing red. Man, I think that was probably the dream first half. I actually couldn't believe what was going on. There was a lot of hype in the United camp after the Arsenal win. Guys were feeling themselves, man. Ten Hag ball. And if you follow
United trade.
Twitter and United, Twitter and Liverpool, oh man, it's a mess on football Twitter. Like United Trey, that
guy. But I can't stop. I can't unfollow him, eh?
It's great to see him being humble.
Humble.
Oh man,
a humble pie.
And fine, we'll give you guys the the joy of winning the second half. If you'd like to take your
we won 3-2. We won 3-2 actually.
Anthony, great goal. Kudos to you, but let's all just give a massive round of applause to the machine that is Haaland. Foden.
And Foden, like...
City. Brilliant game.
It's such a pity for him, actually. In a way. But you get what I mean, like, about it being a little bit of a pity for him. Like, his hat-trick is really overshadowed by
Haaland. Haaland's stats are ridiculous. I saw... Premier League put up the stat that he's got the fastest to 3 hat-tricks.
8 games.
48 less games. 40 games less.
40 games less.
Than Michael Owen.
First player ever to get 3 successive home hat-tricks. So that's crazy.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it is something. And watching him is, I'll admit, like, watching him is really... He even said it himself. He's like, if I time my run properly, I won't be stopped. And I look at him and I watch him play. I'm like, if this guy times his run properly, you cannot stop him.
The guy's
you can't stop
like
him.
The length of a bus, so you can put it anywhere and he'll get there. Like Leslie was saying, he's honestly a cheat code. Honestly, I don't know how you manage.
Oh, Leslie, there's your shout out, Les.
Finally,
there's your shout out, Les.
Put that one on the tally board.
Yeah. But shame for Foden, like, because he still scored the hat. I wonder do they each get a ball?
Well, they both did get a ball.
Okay. So not shame for him, but he is overshadowed. But that first goal that he scored, sick.
He's done it so well, the shot across the body. It looks clumsy in a sense, but it's always so
it was
deliberate.
clean. It was clean, man. That was a nice goal.
Very excited to see the kind of numbers that Haaland racks up. The team, I think this is such a big confidence boost in Champions League football. I'm very keen to see how far City go.
Who are you guys playing this week in Champions League?
Should be not the Dortmund return.
The Dortmund return. It's a new fixture, I think, because it's Copenhagen. Copenhagen,
Should be Copenhagen. Yeah.
So a chance to... Yeah.
That should be a really good one. And I've also been very impressed by Akanji. City's backline has gone through a lot of turmoil.
He's really just settled in.
He really has. And I honestly
say that.
Only saw him playing maybe 5 games all season.
Yeah.
He's been very...
What a buy. What a buy. Yeah. Really what a buy.
I've been very impressed with that. So 6-3. I obviously was very spoilt and unnecessarily got a little irritated that City allowed the 3 goals in. I was hoping for another 6-1.
Yeah.
The old Fergie days. Shame. And seeing Fergie's face, I have respect for the man, but shame.
I do, but United fans deserve
it. The tables have turned. So, honestly, an amazing performance. Probably one of the best first halves I've seen. City.
As an Arsenal fan, I'll tell you that second half made me feel you are beatable. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I did feel like. Don't get me wrong. I think for me, even as Arsenal playing as well as we are, I still think City is a level up to Arsenal. I'll admit that. But to see a second half like that, I'm like, but there's something there. It's not perfect. There's something to be had here. And as an Arsenal fan, I look at it and I'm like,
opportunity.
I'm not saying we're going to do it, but I'm saying that at least I can see that there's a little bit of hope again, I don't think we're gonna win the league. I really don't. I don't think we have the squad depth to do it. I think we are blessed to be in the Europa because it allows us proper rotation, at least now in the beginning stages of the competition. But seeing that you guys letting in 3 goals, I was kind of like, okay, phenomenal. Haaland is something else. All those things, but there is something to be had.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially at the same time, Chelsea not in the best place right now, managing to just beat.
Yes. There needs to be some glimmer of hope. You don't want it to be a Bayern that's winning, 8 titles in a row, 11, whatever it is. So there is still hope for competition and a competitive season. So next week is another big fixture. Arsenal, Liverpool. Really looking forward to that. Should be good.
Southampton.
Yeah.
Not a big game, I wouldn't say necessarily, especially considering it's Copenhagen during the week. I think if you had a bigger Champions League game during the week, I would think, okay, maybe there's something else can happen there. There's going to be
tons of rotation and happen. Cole Palmers, etc. Local games done. But great weekend for Premier League. You guys are still sitting top, very comfortable out there.
Does it? Maybe I can ask you one question before we move on to the next topic. But your top 4, has it changed at all since since episode 1?
I'll re-look at what I said in episode 1. I think I said Liverpool to finish second, right?
I think you did.
Or was it Spurs? Oof.
It might have been Spurs, actually. I don't... Okay, we go back, we circle back, we check it out.
We'll check in. And then just to touch on lastly with the footballing that happened this weekend, in the PSL, there was the MTN 8 semi-finals that took place. Another big matchup when you've got the Giants, both South African teams to have won the CAF Champions League. You had Mamelodi Sundowns up against Orlando Pirates.
Okay.
Didn't live up to the billing in a 0-0, but this was just semi-final part 1.
Okay.
So the return leg, hopefully there's a lot more goals, a lot more action. And similarly, Kaizer Chiefs also played to a stalemate 1-1 with Amazulu. Those guys, man, they're the king of draws, man.
You still watch?
I still watch.
How? Like, what do you use to watch? Like what
Super Sports
platform?
DSTV now.
Does it work in England?
It does.
VPN, or you can just VPN?
Yeah, the VPN does work.
You maybe off air you got to tell me what VPN you're running, because
I'll slide in the DMs and give you.
Give us. Is it free?
Well, they are free ones, but
yours isn't.
Are reliable. Comes at a cost, man. Comes at a cost.
Just like creating a podcast.
You want quality, it's gonna cost you.
It is. And in the case of the listeners, it's gonna cost you your time for the quality that we give.
And it is top quality. So are you really
notch.
losing out? That's what we want to know. Subscribe, comment. All down below.
Share,
let us know. Let us know. What are your highlights from the weekend? What are your predictions? Is Haaland going to smash 60 goals for the league? It's looking like it could even
not impossible.
60 just in the league.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know what else you guys are looking forward to, and obviously with World Cup season coming up, let us know your predictions, man. We gave you our predictions on where we see World Cup.
And we'll do another. I think we'll do another World Cup special. Maybe when they do the squad announcements. Maybe that'll be a good time to do that.
That'll be great. And we'll also be having a few guests who are very knowledgeable and experts, I'd say, on their club sides, who can give us a bit more insight into why things are going the way they are or aren't.
100%.
So stay tuned for that. And we finish this wonderful episode in our last segment. We've actually combined 2 here. So we're going to be moving into matters of the heart. So matters of the heart. Man, this is what we really love. It's a great way to wrap up our episodes. And this is the personal aspect of it. So we've actually combined what's good in your hood and matters of the heart. And today we want to take a look at why people immigrate. And who best to answer these questions than the 2 people that have done it? I think a lot of questions are in people's minds before they make the big decision to move over. It's consideration of their social setting. It's consideration of their financial means. You know, there's a lot that plays into making the
decision.
Big decision. For me personally, I've always considered moving out of SA. It was generally for advancing myself in my line of work. I've felt that there's a lot more opportunities available in Europe and in the Western world than what was necessarily back home in South Africa. And, life is about timing. And although I had considered possibly going to a different place to start off initially as my first move abroad, it just so happened that it worked perfectly. It timed perfectly for my wife and I to move over this year. She got a job here in England, and I thought, look, I also want to pursue life in sports marketing. And given the big resources, the number of sporting codes, sporting clubs, it would be a perfect place to do so. So that was a big driving factor for me. Also, back home, everyone is well aware of the struggles that South Africa is going through, especially politically, economically.
Yeah.
There's a lot that South Africans have to live through.
Yeah.
That's not to take away from it being the best country in the world.
The best, yeah.
But for me personally, it was a chance to break away from my comfort bubble and everything that I've come to know, and just try my hand out in the world. If things work out perfectly, 100%, we can see where it takes me. If not, there'll always be somewhere to come back to.
Yeah.
So from a career point of view, that was one. Number two, it was the opportunities from a social activities point of view.
Okay.
Being a hub, if I could call it that, to a lot of travel destinations. You have Europe, that's not too far from the UK. Ireland, that's less than an hour's flight away. Scotland, Wales, right. They're neighboring. So that was another contributor. And lifestyle. There was a lot of influence I get from my music, my films, sports. We chat about that every week. So these were all the pull factors that the immigration, the move to the UK had. And we actually came across this article from
I Am
Expat, and it details 15 questions you'd ask yourself before moving abroad. And we're not going to go through all of them, but just a few to pick out that I think are quite important. It's, what do I want to get out of my life abroad? I think that's a very important one, because it's very important to remember that it's not going to be a copy-paste. You don't, unfortunately, get the exact replica of your life that you've lived back home in your new town. There's going to be changes, be it to your work environment, to your social circle. You need to be willing to be uncomfortable, I'd say, for a certain period whilst you find your feet. And it's something that isn't always explained to people, or you'd hear only the good parts of someone moving overseas. They never want to tell you about the struggles or the things that really fall into character building, for lack of a better word. And again, this one relates to career. So what is my career path for the coming 1, 3, and 5 years? So really being honest with yourself. What you're trying to achieve, what you want to do, how long it's going to take you to get there, and if the place or places you've considered has the resources and the roadmap for you to get. I think you've also had a
so I've had obviously, I've been abroad a little bit longer than Tev. I left just before COVID hit in 2020. For a whole bunch of reasons. As in episode 2, we kind of gave a little bit of a brief background about ourselves. And for me, when we decided to move, there was obviously pull factors, but there were also some push factors. And this part isn't about, we're not going to slander South Africa, that's not what this is about. But if I'm going to call a spade, I was quite concerned. There were a few just significant moments that happened there were times I was quite concerned about like safety. Katya's more than my own, but safety for both of us nonetheless. So that was a big thing. The second thing is I was actually at a baby city buying a present for a friend who it was his, what do you call it for men, nappy party, whatever. I was like
parties.
Yeah, so I was like there, I was buying him nappies or whatever I decided to buy that day. And I remember looking around, and actually afterwards I phoned Katya and I was like, I was just in the store and I was looking around and I realized that I asked me like, I don't know how I'm going to afford this. Like if we have kids one day, I have no idea how I'm going to be able to afford this. And I don't know how much I'm going to have to work to be able to be in a position to afford the things. I mean, as parents, I like to believe all parents would like to give their kids everything, right? So I feel no differently.
Yeah.
And then I really started introspecting and thinking to myself, okay, what kind of life can I live with my family here? Is the goal to get to like a Danefern with high walls and high security and top private schools? And at what expense? Like, what do you give up to achieve that? What kind of time are you giving up to achieve that? So those were some of the push factors. Now, in terms of the pull factors is we were first looking at South Korea. We ended up deciding, I met a friend, he was in South Africa at the time. He's like, you should check out Thailand, etc., etc. I did the research and I was like, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? Let's give it a shot. I think Katya wanted to move abroad a lot more than I did, especially when we first started dating, which, by the way, we're coming on 8 years now. It's a really long time, but...
example, man.
Hey, what can I say?
Sure.
But slowly, more and more, I started realizing, like, no, actually, this is something. The world is big, and I came to a big realization in that I felt, for the longest time, I felt like an obligation towards South Africa, especially as a teacher. I felt it's my responsibility to help the future of this country by being a teacher to South African students, right? And then that obligation, I was like, okay, but you also have to have some obligation to yourself, right? So anyway, long story short, decided to move. In terms of career, it wasn't at the time the best career step and it grates me, man, because so many people here are teachers, right?
Yeah.
But only because they are here. Now, I'm not saying they're good or bad, but you come here because you can teach. You have a degree, you can get a TEFL certificate, then you can teach, all right? But I'm like actually a teacher. Like I love it. I'm a qualified teacher and I enjoy it and I'm passionate about it. So when I speak to people that it's like, oh yeah, you're also a teacher. I'm like, no, I am a teacher. You are just here teaching. We're different. We're not the same. Yeah. And I took that so personally for the longest time. And obviously I had to move on. The ego had to calm down. For real, because I used the one time I
see why that would grate, because I mean you've dedicated your life to teaching, and then someone comes here does what a TEFL can do. People can do it in like a month or
whatever. You can do like a bridging course, like. But also it's like I don't even mind that, but it's like I actually care about being a teacher. Yes. Some people that I spoke to didn't, and that's fine. Not everyone is, and you must do what you have to do to be here. But like we ain't the same. And what was bugging me is like at a time, like I was even at the same school with some of those people. And then I'm like, but you say that you're not the same. You behave differently, of course, but you're at the same school. So you need to really work to differentiate yourself.
True.
And then I made a move to an international school here in Bangkok, which now we're talking different levels, right? Okay. Like you're talking like you won't teach at an international school with a TEFL certificate. That doesn't happen. So already you start, what do they say? Cream rises to the top. What do they say?
Yeah.
So, that's kind of like, for me, like the path that it ended up taking, within our immigration steps. But I will say like one of the biggest things, or like my last maybe kind of wrap up thoughts on this kind of thing, or just my section for now. I realized when I moved here that the world is huge, and it's not easy to move overseas. It's really not. You miss your family a lot, it's tough. It's tough. You get a whole bunch of experiences and stuff, but it's difficult. But I don't know about you, but I don't think I'll go back. And that's got nothing to do with, it's got a little bit to do with South Africa, but it's also got a lot to do with where I feel like, but there's too much out here to just go back to what you know all the time. And that was kind of like a big thing for me, is like when I realized like I can grow wherever I am as an individual. I don't have to be in the safety of like where my childhood was. You know, that was a huge thing for me as well. So yeah, that's pretty much my...
really good point, man. I'd also like to say that, yeah, you're 100%. I mean, I've only been away from home for about 4 months now. Yeah. And I am missing family and friends. Yo, I miss it, man. I miss the familiarity, but I miss the luxury of just getting in my car, firstly, owning a car,
a car,
and just driving to your friend's house. You can stay over for the game, just to chat, to have access to people, and people who invest in you. I think is a tough adjustment to make. That's the one thing that I think people can tell you, but until you experience it, it's a different thing. Regarding growth, you're so on point. There's so much room to grow, and I've seen how being so, the word would probably, comfortable in familiarity and just moving beyond that. So having been someone that stayed at home all my life, well, for the majority of my life, stepping out of that once I got married, going into my own space, and then from there moving from that place of independence to now a whole country of independence. It really helps you do a lot more introspection and just see the kind of growth that you've had as a person in a very short space of time. So as challenging as it is, it's still really beneficial to put yourself out there. And that's the thing, it's about trial and error. No one's expecting you to become an instant or overnight success. These things take time, and if it isn't for you, you always have the safety net of home, which is a very fortunate place to be in. But the move abroad is, I think, one that people should consider. I'm not saying everyone should. It's
not for everyone, for sure. It's not.
That's true. But yeah, you learn a lot. You go down avenues that you never thought you'd do. Podcast is an example. It's a great way in which to remain connected with people that are of high value to you. So take into consideration a lot of these questions. It's once again, it's by I Am Expat. Have a look through. They have quite a few really good ones there for you guys to mull over if you are considering the move. These are the kind of things.
And I would also just if you are thinking about it, I would also just say what I found before I left is that a lot of people don't think they can do it for whatever reason, you know, like, and I'm not going to say that it's true or not true, but I think a lot of people think that they want to do it, but think that they can't. I have kids, which I don't have kids, so I can't say for sure that, but you can do it or whatever, but a lot of people, oh no, I could never do that. And to be honest, if that's how you feel, then you never will, you know, like, I hate to be like that, but like the mind is the most powerful thing, right? As soon as you say, you know, you have to be careful about what you put out there, and thinking that you'll never be able to do it for whatever reason that is, I caution you against that. And I caution you against listening to the people that tell you, that bring up the problems or the difficulties of moving there. So like, I know if any of our friends were to contact Tev or myself and they'd be like, what is your experience like since you moved? We're not going to sugarcoat it, and we're not going to turn this into a jelly tot. See what I did there? But we will say, look, it was hard because of X, Y, and Z. However, given the chance to go back and change my mind, I wouldn't. Like, personally, I wouldn't go back and change my mind. And I've been back home since and come back. When I was at home, it was lovely being with my family and stuff, but I don't know if it's home anymore to me. Like, you know, also like, all circumstances are different for different people. Like for me, I got married and then moved here, and like my whole kind of adult life was built around being here, and built on the foundations of my marriage are built around the way they are. So I'm not going to say that I can relate to everyone, but I do caution you to don't just listen to the negative people, and don't listen only to the negative side in your mind. It is, I believe, possible if it is something that you want to do. And like Tev said, but it's not for everyone. So let us know. Like, sorry, that sounds like quite preachy up until that point, but I really feel like people think they can't do it until they do. That's the summary.
Exactly. And just reach out to people, man. Ask everyone. The people that have gone and done it, the people that haven't, the people that stayed behind.
If you know someone that went and came back, speak to them.
Exactly. Get as much. Look, the mindset you should have is that where you are a beginner, where you don't have experience, ask the people that do. There's nothing wrong with putting it out there. Just getting feedback, and then you take
no shame in asking questions.
You feel is relevant to you, man. And this for people who are wondering, how is it possible to get there from a sponsorship side? Read up on your country, man. There's so many websites, there's so many resources that dictate exactly what is required to move there, how you can do it, what are the funding options, sponsorships, etc. So again, if you're really interested in it, read up on it, speak to people, speak to us. We're also open to chatting to you guys about some of the challenges, some of the benefits, what do we miss, what do we love. We're here to really here to chat.
We ain't going anywhere, fam. Like I know a lot of people thought episode 1, these guys are cute. Now they're starting to think, okay, these guys are still here a month later.
We'll
be here
now, guys. We're friends. So we're here to help you as much as you guys are here to help us. And we really appreciate it. I think that's also a great place to leave today's episode. Wrap it up.
For sure. Surprise for next week. No spoilers now. You have to join in to see what that surprise is. We hope it's a
important landmark episode
for the big vibe.
We spoke about specials coming up, and this is
gonna be the first
of the special episodes.
Stay
tuned, guys. It's going to be a really good one. Like all of our episodes, they're really good.
Oh, we're so humble.
Our social channels, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we have the website, we also have our podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts. It's all there. We'll
Apple Podcasts.
All the descriptions. Find it on YouTube. The Big Vibe with Tev and Ty. Like we said, we've made it very easy for you to watch through the episodes. If there's sections that you don't like or do like, you can skip with each chapter mark.
And actually, I will also just say, if you are at this point, I'll throw it in at the beginning of the next one. If you go onto the website, I haven't updated for episode 3 yet, but if you go onto the website, there's a little section there that has episode highlights with at least 2 short clips from every episode, where you can just check that out and see if if we are your flavor. And just again, let us know if you're finding that the website's difficult to navigate. Help us, please. We need the advice. We need the help. We want to stay steady. We want to keep going, but we need everyone's support, which you've been great with. So continue to be great.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Once again, you guys are the best. This is the Big Vibe with Tev and Ty. We see you next week.
Catch you later.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye.